first met him, actually, I didn't like him. So at first, I thought he was a junior. I was a senior at the time. I thought he was a junior. I didn't like him.
I wasn't expecting to have a girlfriend, but I saw qualities in her that I liked, and then I knew I wanted in a future wife because I knew I didn't want to date someone unless like it was serious.
The COVID hit, and so then it was like we had to quarantine together, and we spent every waking moment together for however long we were locked up.
You really get to see somebody and like who they truly are in their element of being at home. So I was like, okay, we can do this.
Well, I knew Joe was the one when, like, one day I woke up, literally, and I was just like, I couldn't imagine life without this person. The happy moments or the sad moments, because before that, in college, it was very common for girls to get engaged, and I was like, Joe, if you ever ask me, I'm gonna say no. Like, I know I'm not ready, and I don't know, one day I was like, man, like, I'm ready. Like, I think I know I'm ready, and I want to spend my life with this person.
You know, it's hard to think of just one moment. You know, we've been together for so long. I feel like every moment, you know, is an aha moment with her.
This was back in 2016. So during that time, we were like just dating off and on. And then I feel like during that time, I was in a season to where I was like learning myself. And like I said, I've only like had a serious relationship with one other guy. And so I felt like for me, I've always knew, although I never had an example of, you know, a marriage or a healthy relationship, I knew what I wanted. So when I actually got to know him, and you know, knowing that he has like a spiritual background, and one, he helped me get a lot closer with God, and then he was just different. He was loving, he was caring, and then also like our desires in life, it was the same. And so for me during that time when we was like on and off, I was like one day I was in my car, I was coming home from work, and I just broke down. I was praying because I'm like, okay, God, like, I don't want to do this off and on thing. You know what I want, you know what I'm looking for. So, you know, I need to know if this is my person. So I kind of was just like, let it go. I was just like, okay, God, this is in your hands. And, you know, whatever you say, I'll do whatever. So a couple of weeks later, like, he called me. This is, matter of fact, this is on Christmas Eve of 2016. He called me. I was at work. I was on my break. He was in his car going to the mall. And he was just like, just started pointing his heart out to me. And I was like, what? Like, where's all this coming from, you know? And so, and for me, I was like, okay, like, is this a sign or what? And so, and then the next day, on Christmas Day, we spent the entire Christmas Day together. I feel like that was like my sign from God telling me, okay, like, he's your person. So I feel like that's when I knew that he was my person.
So, short version, we had always been together. She kind of hit on it. Neither one of us had ever really just seen an example of a successful or healthy marriage. My background, a single mother, my dad got remarried, so I kind of had glimpses of what a successful marriage would look like, but because I stayed with my mom, I was always seeing the good things. I didn't see the stuff that marriage really is. So, and me having a spiritual background, I knew what marriage looked like biblically. And so, you know, same thing, I had prayed, I was like, God, I need you to show me. Of course, it wasn't at 2016, because 2016 was off and on, so my prayers started coming a little later on, like 2019-ish, 2018, going into 2019. And I just prayed, I said, God, you know, at this point, this woman is pregnant with my child, outside of wedlock, I need to know. And so it was me seeking God and asking him, like, show me what it is that I need to be doing. I couldn't think of anybody else. One thing I try to always gauge marriage on is 3 things, really. Honesty, communication, and loyalty. All 3 of those attributes she has. So it's like, it made no sense for me to try to redo anything with anybody else. At this point, we'd already been together 3-4 years in 2016, so we fast forward to 2019, it's a long time. So time is the only thing you can't get back. So why waste it trying to find out who else you're supposed to be with? You can try and exhaust everything you have with that person. So that's my answer.
In college, I didn't have a car, so it was super important for me to go home and be able to see my family. So usually my mom would come all the way down to Huntsville and pick me up, and then I would go back to Dallas. But once I met Keenan, he actually started meeting my mom halfway, so that she didn't have to come all the way down to pick me up. And it was just really special to me and important because he knew how important it was for me to go home to visit my family and friends. And he would rearrange his whole day to make sure that he was able to pick me up and drop me off halfway to be able to meet my mom. And that's when I knew this man really cared about me, driving halfway to turn around.
Making them trip. Nah, but for her, mainly just our conversations, and she would really ask me, about, my family and things that I'd be dealing with. And I had recently, my father had recently passed, and, she would be that person I could talk to and just be there for me, and just seeing that she really cared about how I felt. And, I didn't really talk about my emotions, but with her I did, so I just knew she was my person.
I knew he was my person when we had our first date. I knew it then. I had prayed that this is a very specific prayer, but I had prayed God, if this is not my husband, I don't even want to meet him. I don't let the date not happen, whatever. And there was some crazy stuff that made it look like it wasn't going to happen. And then at the last minute, everything worked out. Nobody canceled. We were able to obviously go on our date and without a hitch. And so once I laid eyes on him and we started to talk, and we were at Virginia for how long? 2.5, 3 hours? Yeah, just talking. And I just knew then hey, I like him. I really think that he has a, character traits that I'm looking for. So that's when I knew.
For me, it was a little different. After a few dates and after we became official, that's when I knew. It was actually during New Year's Eve 2018 for me. She was doing this thing where she eats grapes.
Okay, let me explain. So I'm a little bit superstitious, just a tiny bit.
I'm gonna let her tell it.
Can you be quiet?
No, the superstitious part, that's what I was talking about.
Okay, anyway. I forgot which culture this comes from. I want to say potentially Latin culture, but I could be wrong. But anyway, I want to say it is actually, but when it's getting close to midnight, what you do is to have a good year, you eat a grape for each month and a wish for each month that you want. And so that's what I was doing. I was stuffing my face before midnight. And I'm sure he was what the hell wrong with her?
So as weird as that was, it was very endearing. Just because I've never seen somebody take to New Year's like that.
I love New Year's. It's my favorite holiday.
But along with that, it was also, it was this moment of realization where everything kind of culminated into one, oh man, this person really cares about me, me. I think that was my moment of clarity then.
So I took a lot of steps, up until the big question. I guess the first step is, asking her father. I didn't know how to tell him or where to tell him, and it kind of just, but I knew the food was the way to his heart. So I brought over some, I don't know, remember what I brought, but I think I just brought over Chinese or something, and then we're all eating. It was him, her mother, and the sister, of course. And we're all just eating, and Victoria was at work, and I was off that day. And I brought over some food, and we're just, casually talking, and then I just, I asked them, and they all kind of like just stopped what they were doing. You can see everybody's eyes starting to water, and so that was the first step, and of course they said yes. So next was, looking for the ring. I looked every day, different websites, different stores for the ring. I wanted to make sure I found the right one. And once I found the ring, I showed her mother. Her mother was excited. And then, planning the day of, I wanted to make sure it was like extra special. So I included like a violinist, a photographer, a picnic person, and it ended up being.
It was awesome. I was so surprised. After, how long have we been together? After
like 9 years.
9 years, I was still shocked. Like I was not expecting it at all. So he did awesome.
So in 2018, so I proposed literally around this time in 2018. I'm at work, at this time working at the railroad. I'm on break in the restroom. And at this time, I had already known that I wanted to marry her. At this point, she's 5 months pregnant, just like she is now. And I call her sister. I call her other sister, and then I call her mom. Now, one of her sisters is basically like her mother. So I call her and say, Ro, I love your sister. I want to marry you. And I want to know if it's cool with you if I get your blessing. So she like, boy, you want to marry my sister? I said, yeah, but I do. So she says yes. I've been around the family forever. I called the other sister. The other sister's like, by the time y'all get married, I called the mama, and the mama's like, I guess I thought y'all was already together anyway. So it's Saturday. I take her to Jared. I go see the lady. Her name is Jennifer. And I'm like, Jennifer, come over here, look at this ring. She's like, oh my God, this is the exact ring I like on the screenshot. I said, yeah, I know. So I sent her off or whatever. I talked to Jennifer like, hey, put this ring up. I'm gonna come back and get it. She said, okay. Well, Jennifer didn't do her job. And somebody ended up coming to buy the ring later on that evening, that Saturday when we left. So I come back on a Sunday, I believe it was a Sunday, and I try to go and purchase the ring, where the ring is sold at this point. So I buy one that looks exactly like it. And then Jennifer's like, well, since we sold the other one, this ring is gonna go on sale. So instead of paying $1,750 for it, buy it today, come back the next day, refund it, and then we'll sell it to you again for $500 less. So I do that. So fast forward to proposing. How I won her was in high school. For Valentine's Day, she was the teacher's aide, so I had like 3 teachers plus the aide, the teacher that she was aiding for. They had a hall pass, and she was going to go look for a student that she thought actually went to the school. I don't even know who the student is. I just made up a name. And so the lady was like, hey, Janisha, I need you to go find this student. Bring them back to me. She goes to one classroom, looks for the student. The teacher in there knows that this student doesn't exist. So the teacher's like, oh, they just left out of here. They went to this class. She goes to another classroom. They send her to another classroom. Ultimately, she gets to the classroom where I am. When she walks in the door, I've got Music Soul Child playing, so beautiful. On this projector, we had them overhead screens. So on the overhead screen, it said, will you be my Valentine? And then here I am standing with a rose, a stolen teddy bear from Walmart. Yes, it was stolen. And I had the rose in my mouth, and then she walked in, and she was just hysterical. She still claims to the day she didn't cry. But the floor still wet from when she dropped that tear. So when I proposed to her, the plan was I was going to set up 3 different places where we have like significant memories over our dating extravaganza. One is in Greens Point, which is where I'm from. Shout out GP. We put our initials in the ground when they were laying the cement, and it said JW forever. And then I'm gonna have her go to another significant place where we had dates at. So we're part of this marriage ministry at our church, and so we're supposed to be going out to eat as the marriage ministry typically did. And so she didn't know that it was at Papa Do's, and I had all of her family come, and then I had the marriage ministry there, and then I proposed there.
It was a lot of steps. I mean, first I, told my parents, and I mean, they already knew it was coming. So next was her parents. I waited to tell her mom till probably like a month or 2 before, because she got a big mouth. So I just really hit her up just so I can, plan me coming down to ask her father, for her hand in marriage and get his approval. And also, like a year before that, we had went looking at rings, and
he ended up picking out the exact ring that we looked at like a year and a half, almost 2 years before I had even moved down. So I think that's what even made it like more special, is that like he remembered, like, cause I didn't even remember. Like, I knew that was the ring, but I had looked at so many and like sent him so many that I was happy with whatever. But the fact that like it was that exact same ring that when we went in person and we tried it on, like I just couldn't believe that he had like pulled it off.
So me proposing, she went out of town for her birthday, which is the 28th of December. So we were gonna go celebrate her birthday when she came back in town with our group of friends and family. So we went, when she flew back in town, her parents flew back to Dallas. I planned a dinner, so we went to dinner all together, and I had her parents drive down from Dallas that same day, and her godparents, and they surprised her at the dinner, and basically she knew once she seen them what time it was.
I didn't know if I was ready or not, essentially. So we ended up having a come to Jesus conversation about living arrangements, just because she wasn't really happy with hers at the time. And it was kind of building up into this, what's the word for it? Anxiety kind of deal, because I knew that's what she wanted. But at the same time, for me, it's also, okay, am I ready to take this next step? So after that conversation, the next day, her mom hits me up, and she's like, I didn't have to go to her or anything like that. She just came to me, and she's like, yeah, I want to do whatever it takes to help you guys go ahead and get, start the proposal process. I'm like, okay, well, here we go. So that's how that started. So I eventually got the ring. Well, I got the ring like a couple days before the actual proposal, but we had set it up where I was gonna propose at this art gallery spot. I had told her that, hey, one of my artsy friends. I know, that was the point. That was the point. You didn't need to know. So I had told her that one of my friends is having an art exhibit, and so
I fell for it.
she fell for it too.
He had a flyer and everything made.
Yeah, so and we'll talk about that. So she kept pressing me about this thing. Well, I haven't seen a flyer. So I worked at a recording studio at the time, and my studio manager, he's really good with graphics, design, all that stuff. I call him on the phone real quick. Yo, Todd, I need you to doctor me up something real quick, bro. Like, okay, give me all the information. Like, he was down. So he literally doctors up a flyer in like 5 minutes, sends it to me. I send it to her mama. And she's like, you gotta be kidding me. This looks so professional. So I send it to her, and she's like, oh, okay, cool. So I told her that everybody was supposed to wear red, so that we need to wear red too. So we made it happen, but I told her to wear red. The gag was, we were the only ones in red.
Everybody was in black.
Everybody else was in black.
And white.
And white. So we pull up. I had kind of went around the block. I literally drove around the block just to make sure that everybody was ready. They were finally ready. She's getting mad at me because she's thinking we running late.
I was walking in the door fussing.
So she fussing. So I was just like, Lord, I cannot wait to show you this ring. So
Shut me up.
That part, I'm glad you said it. So we get in there, all the lights are down. And so her best friend, who was actually in medical school at the time in Saint Martin, flew down to Houston to be here. We gagged her the whole time. We're just like, oh, she still thought she was in St. Martin, and so she's there in person. So when she sees her, she's trying to put two and two together, and she is not getting it. Everybody's out there kind of turning their backs to her, so they don't recognize, or she doesn't recognize them. And she just started talking and talking and talking, and she was so dazed and confused, like she just didn't know what was up. So eventually, her mom hands me a mic. I start talking, they playing music, say my spiel, and that's how it happened.
I said yes.
Take a test to see or learn our compatibility. They basically tell you with that test whether or not you should be together.
So we didn't have a typical wedding.
My dad is a pastor. Go to my dad's house, and he married us in his dining room.
It was a really sweet night because my mom and I spent time together and just shared stories and cried and just was super sentimental.
All my friends were like, you didn't cry, like we thought you were gonna cry. And I was so happy. Like, I was so happy that like we finally made it to this day.